Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mutant Academy. This is the show where we talk about X-Men. I'm your host, DJ Woldridge. With me, as always, is Sal.
Hey.
Hey. So, today we are talking about episodes 3 and 4 of X-Men, the animated series. We are starting with Enter Magneto, which originally aired on November 27th. 1992. Sal, you got the IMDb description in there.
You bet. Yeah. Enter Magneto as the Beast waits for his arraignment in court in front of an anti-mutant public. Magneto tries to break Beast out of jail only to receive resistance from Beast. An old enemy of Wolverine's pops up and the X-Men take him in. Magneto then attacks a military base trying to bring mutants together against the oppression brought upon.
You know what, man? I was a little worried because I was like, those first two episodes, they were pretty tight, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, this might not be as funny as when we did it in Spider-Man Unlimited. But IMDb came through, you know?
Yeah. Thank you, AI, for writing this description.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, that's basically it. This episode, if you watch the previous episode, Beast has been captured by the government or something. I'm still on registration.
It was originally the Mutant Control Agency, and then he's just in there. Right?
Yeah.
And Gyra goes visit him, but then later he has court dates.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I can't wait to get to his trial or his bail hearing. Yeah. Wild. So Magneto shows up to free him. Two things I observed from this. Another great Beast moment. Beast continues to be great as he argues why he thinks it's important that he stands trial. Although I do put it on the marker. I do kind of agree with Magneto. It's like, well, that's probably not going to go the way you want, but I do respect it.
Plus, you broke into a government facility to destroy their stuff. I mean,
and they're not, I hate to break it to you, but they're not going to be like, oh, but your reasoning was, that's not how the government works, man.
That ain't how the laws work, man. I'm sorry.
Out of the kindness of our hearts, because you were trying to do the right thing, we're going to let you go. But the other thing that stood out to me in this scene, and I don't know if it stood out to you, Sal, was when Beast looks at Magneto and he's like, wait, who are you? And I'm like, excuse me? He doesn't know who Magneto is?
Right? There's a flashback in the Iceman episode where you fight him.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad it wasn't X-Men 97 that retconned it. I'm glad it was just later seasons of this very show.
Yeah. By the way, the reveal of Magneto is totally boss. He looks amazing.
Dude, I mean, it's one of those things, I really didn't like the way X-Men 97 approached Magneto. But listen, I get it. He looks cool. His powers are dope as hell as the X-Men. We just covered all the X-Men movies. He uses his powers in cool ways. I remember the X-Men 2 Genesis game where the bad guy's Apocalypse, and later in like 5 levels in, you're playing as different X-Men characters, but then you're able to recruit Magneto, and I remember how dope that was. It's like, I get it. Dude, I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bold decision that this show had. First of all, to have one of your characters who you painstakingly made beloved and fun.
Yeah.
And send him to jail and make him a political prisoner.
Yeah.
For the season.
Episode 3. Yeah.
It's another to then have a sequence where your awesome and titanic bad guy of the show, of the franchise.
He's in the opening credits facing off against your guys.
Yeah. Then they have a little conversation about philosophy.
Yeah.
We get exposition. Magneto doesn't know that Beast works for Xavier.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? But all right, we're making it up as we go. Fair enough. But these two being like Charles made you go here and break into the Mutant Control Agency. It's like, yes, but reluctantly, you see. And it's just like, there's guards coming in.
With tanks, by the way. Yeah, tanks.
Tanks are coming.
Yeah.
And we want to. Well, I guess, and that's kind of awesome because it means Magneto is, not perturbed in elite. He's just like, yeah, no, that's a minor inconvenience for me.
Yeah.
David Hamblin plays Magneto, and he's I never would have guessed this voice. I never would have picked it for Magneto, and I love it. He sounds insane.
He does sound insane, and right off the bat, he's throwing out stuff like, "Oh, these puny mortal humans." He's basically Homelander. Again, I'm watching The Boys at the same time as watching this. He's basically Homelander with a sadder backstory. That's all Magneto is.
Yep, I can do anything, and I will.
I love going back to some of our conversation before about how like trying to make mutants, and they do this a lot in other genre fiction, like these powerful fairy folk are just like minorities in our world, and it's like, no, they're not. No, they're not. But I love like Magneto running around like, I don't know why humanity hates mutants so much. I've just tried to obliterate them repeatedly. Like, it's like, take pause, dude. Like, why do you think they're trying to kill you? You keep murdering people.
Yeah. No, maybe they wouldn't wear that helmet too long.
Yeah, it must be because I'm a mutant. No, man. No, it's not that. It's that you're a murderer. Yeah, so he starts throwing tanks around and stuff like that. And Jubilee and Professor X are watching the attack on screen because I guess the news is covering it. And Professor gives his backstory with Magneto. And apparently in this flashback is supposed to be the first time we see them use their powers around each other, which I think X-Men 97 retcons. In the last episode, don't we also see them use their powers around each other? All right.
They do it at a bar.
Yeah. Sure. And then they're in this like war-torn country, and there's these soldiers in the flashback, and Professor X says they're the same ones that overran Magneto's country. So I guess not Nazis?
Yeah, until it is.
Yeah. Unsure,
like,
90s cartoon unsure to be like, how do we deal with the Nazis? Do we make it just generic?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Do we have permission to use Hydra? We don't?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just, how about guys?
Yeah. And in some ways, I am. You can't divorce Magneto. You really can't divorce Magneto from that backstory because it's so seminal to the character. On the other hand, I do think tying your main villain to one of the worst tragedies in human history kind of breaks writers' brain. I think that's why they keep trying to like, I know Magneto's a mass murderer, but what if you kind of liked him? I'm like, no, I don't. Yeah. I don't think that works, guys. I just don't think it works. But because it's like, but the Holocaust is like, yeah, I know. That's a decision you all made. That's a decision you all made. Yeah.
Yeah.
Magneto's fictional. You guys decided that was the backstory. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I know. And because you made it, you can never not do that.
Yeah. You're the ones that painted yourself into this corner. I don't know what to tell you. So anyway, Beast's trial is and again, sorry, my notes is his trial. It's his bail hearing.
Yes.
It's insane. I've not been to a bail hearing. I'm pretty sure they don't go like this, where the person on trial is like, Judge, may I speech to the court?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And then he's like, I'm going to quote Shakespeare. Do I bleed? I'm like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah. I mean, it's heavy-handed, but like, we can't make this a serious courtroom drama for children.
No.
You know, it needs to be heightened. It's like it's like someone's recollection of what the hearing was like.
Yeah. From like 100 years later, like, from Tale of Two Cities or something. And Beast is denied bail. And I know the judge is painted as kind of a prick, but I kind of get it, man. Like the giant, like a magnet man came in and wrecked your cell. I have a feeling you have ample opportunity. Your friends own a supersonic jet. I think we're going to keep you in holding, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, at the very least, like, my powers are what you see.
Yeah.
I'm not like Magneto.
Yeah.
And who brought tomatoes to this thing?
Dude, not only who brought tomatoes, when his bail is denied, a bailiff like starts beating up on him in the courtroom.
I know.
It's nuts. Like, yeah, it's nuts. And then Sabretooth just shows up.
Yeah.
Hey, should we stop the giant man in the cat costume? Should we?
Right. You didn't see him on the security monitors? He's huge.
He's massive. He just shows up and starts wrecking shop, and weirdly, like, so there's a good exchange here where Cyclops is like, "We need to help him." Wolverine's like, "No, we fucking don't."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a great moment for him where he's just like, "Yeah," like where you're like, "Oh, there's a history with these characters."
Yeah.
And Wolverine also is a badass because he's like,
no. But this exchange is unhinged because the guys, help me out if I miss something, Sal. These guys just beat Sabretooth with clubs.
Yeah. I mean, they shoot him with lasers first.
Okay, all right. Maybe I missed the lasers part, but it's a giant monster man with healing factor, and it's like, oh no, we need to take him to the infirmary. I'm like, do we not?
Like,
He's got a healing
Wolverine?
factor. Like Wolverine knows that, right? Wolverine's aware that Sabretooth has a healing factor, right?
You mean to tell me that Professor X and Wolverine have not talked about Sabretooth at any point?
It didn't come up when Professor X was going through his mind, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Weird.
back at the X Mansion, Professor X is looking for Magneto. Storm doesn't even know who Magneto is. Like, Magneto is new to everybody on the team.
Yeah. At least he's not new to Professor Xavier.
Yeah. Like, wait, who's this Magneto guy? Wait, it's my friend? Who? Which friend?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. There's literally a conversation between Cyclops and Professor X where he's like, so apparently Wolverine hates this guy, and Wolverine and Xavier's like, oh, why? I'm like, why do you ask any question? Like, why?
Yeah. You're psychic, man.
Doing?
Just read his. Yeah. With the Sabretooth thing, Professor X makes some wild decisions with Sabretooth. Yes, because they bring him back to the mansion. That's my next thing in the notes. And Wolverine like goes to drag Sabretooth out of the infirmary. Yeah. And literally every X-Men shows up to throw a fit about it. Like, no, Wolverine. We got to keep this guy in our care facility.
We need to prove you right.
Yeah, exactly. And Magneto starts doing stuff. So Professor X is like, go fight Magneto. And Wolverine gives him the withering. How come I got to thrash your old enemy? Yeah. But we got to go easy on mine.
Fair point. I mean, if you know what Sabretooth does.
Yeah, dude. As a fan, like, I wonder, I think I didn't watch these shows in order as a kid because how could you?
There's no way I did.
Yeah. So I don't remember this one as clearly, but I wonder as a kid, I'm like, Professor X, look at Sabretooth. Look at him. He's clearly Wolverine's archenemy. The design and everything. He's got his own tiger stripes. These guys aren't going to be. This is a mistake.
Yeah.
Although it is an example, it is an opportunity for them to be like, Professor X be like, well, I did this for you, Wolverine. And now you and I are, you're here. We're not BFFs, right? But you're here.
Yeah. Weird. It's a weird decision, but it's a cool scene. It's fun because it's like, maybe they heard like, oh, we like the interpersonal drama. We like the fact that like Wolverine is really abrasive. Like, lean into that. Make him do that with everybody except for Jubilee.
Yeah, and on the one hand, like knowing anything about the characters, a lot of this doesn't make sense, but it's building towards getting our first Wolverine Sabretooth fight.
Yes,
it just stands out more because at least especially at this point, I would argue, because in the Krakoa era, you know, everybody kissed and made up except for Saber. They literally Sabretooth is such an unhinged maniac, they threw him into a hole.
Yeah, and when he was in the hole, he made hell.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that like Professor X being like, I don't know, let's play this one out. It's like, no, dude, no.
Chuck. Just, you know, and I understand the motivation of like, no, I can't. It'd be a violation if I just looked into his head and did stuff. And it's like, dude, come on. So, they go to fight Magneto. He's arming missiles. There's a general there being, oh my God, all the missiles are armed. And he looks exactly like the General Morph pretended to be in the previous episode. So he's a real guy. Okay. Yeah. Morph like studied the personnel logs.
Yeah. So he's getting ready to launch the missiles. The X-Men show up, but they can't find Magneto, but Wolverine can smell him, even though he's never met Magneto before. Which makes me wonder, what does Magneto smell like?
Yeah. I don't know. Probably like some kind, like, you know, he probably smells like a server room. You know?
Yeah. Yep. That like hot metal smell.
Yeah.
Trevor in the super chat says, was able to finally catch you alive since I had a flat tire this morning. They patch it for free though. Keep up the great work, guys. Good job getting that patch. Yeah. So he smells them. Magneto shows up to taunt the X-Men. He's like, he says, fucking love Magneto. Better to die on your feet than live on your knees. Who's putting any of these mutants on their knees? Magneto.
Right?
What are we? All we've seen mutants do is blast robots to smithereens, and like Sabretooth alone. Sabretooth was just on the news in a previous episode, like wrecking up a whole city block.
Whipping cars. Yeah.
And Professor X is still like, nah, let's keep this guy around. This is going to work out okay.
Yeah, I think it's because Magneto's like, no, the idea of like getting a job and abiding by the rules and laws of like of the land you live in, that's being on your knees.
Yeah.
And you have powers. It gives you, manifest destiny. It gives you like the authority to do whatever you want.
Oh my God, Magneto's such a messy bitch. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Wolverine tries to stop the missiles by doing classic Wolverine stuff, which is basically just stabbing every console in sight. Shocker, it doesn't work.
When everything looks like a nail to a hammer.
Yeah. Was there a second? Because when I was watching this, Sal, I was like, wait, because it's Saturday morning cartoon. I'm like, wait, is this going to work?
Right. I genuinely did think he was going to do it. Because it's like, well, have they established how, like, protected Wolverine is from, criticism and harm?
Yeah.
Will him blasting things work? But then I remembered, like, no, the show is also, like, quick to show you that, like, Wolverine's behavior is not permissible.
I kind of think, especially in these episodes, and again, I think it's something that the future X movies could take a lesson from, this is actually the perfect balance of Wolverine, where they know this is our most popular guy. This is the face of the franchise, but he is part of the superstructure. This isn't the Wolverine show. This is the X-Men show. And it's like, that's the balance. It's a tricky balance because it's so easy for him, as we saw with the movies, for him to just become everything. Yep. But it's like, no. We love him. He's great.
Yeah.
We'll sell a billion versions of him in toys, but it's the X-Men show.
Right. But everybody needs a shot. Everybody needs to look cool.
Yep. And so that the opportunity is for Storm to do that. So the missiles are launching. What are we going to do? Storm is going to, I guess, sacrifice herself to blow them up. But then Professor X shows up with Cerebro, and he's like, Storm, listen to what Cerebro tells you about the missiles. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? What is happening?
I'm guessing, like, we don't, I mean, obviously, they don't know. They're just like, no, have Professor X read the minds of the
missiles.
Yeah. And tell her what to do with them. But, like, sure, maybe Professor X read the minds of a nuclear technician and understands how they work now and then sends that information into Storm's head.
Or maybe Cerebro's able to communicate with other machines. They had a nice little chitty chat, and now Cerebro's beaming that information.
It has a name. I mean, it could be alive.
Yeah. Later. Hey, listen, danger. That's the Danger Room coming alive. I don't know why I used that as an example of Cerebro coming alive, but
Cerebro, I don't remember if they ever did that. It feels like there's no way they didn't do a story where Cerebro was actually like a sentient being.
In 60 years of stories, no way. They had to have done it at least once.
Right?
If not multiple times.
If they did it for the Danger Room, they definitely did it for Cerebro.
Come on. So Storm basically like redirects the missiles and then short circuits them with lightning, which I think like, duh. That's the...
You don't have to die. Just do that.
You're Storm.
Yeah.
Day saved. Yep. Problem not solved, though. Magneto's still out there, and that's what leads us to Season 1, Episode 4, Deadly Reunions, originally aired in January 23rd, 1993. Sal, you got this one on the IMDb's.
Here it is. Deadly Reunions. Professor Xavier and Magneto confront each other for the first time in years while Wolverine and Sabretooth come face to face. Professor Xavier tries to examine Sabretooth's mind to figure out his rage problem. After his last terrorist action failed, Magneto plots a new one to bring Professor Xavier out into the open. Sabretooth and Wolverine confront each other in the mansion's war room.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? Okay.
And I will say, when I was going into this episode, I was like, Magneto versus Professor X, Wolverine versus Sabretooth, classic, iconic.
Yep.
And then as the episode played out, I'm like, all right, so not
quite.
A little loosey-goosey around the edges here, but, I see it on paper. I see what you're doing. Episode 4, solid, dramatic choice for, like, plot in episode 4. Just, maybe we'll dial in as the show goes on.
Yeah.
Was Sabretooth in Pride of the X-Men? He wasn't, was he?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't Sabretooth originally appear in Iron Fist? Wasn't he originally an Iron Fist villain?
Yeah. And then in Mutant Massacre, they were like, let's make him a Wolverine villain.
Yeah, duh. Of course. That seems so, like, no-brainer now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get... Dude, this episode has a wild sequence to open.
Yes, it's spectacular.
Yeah, because Professor X is in Sabretooth's brain. Sorry, gang, I forgot I have assets. This is Sabretooth, in case you forgot what he looks like.
Yeah.
I do love this costume. This is my favorite Sabretooth costume.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
When I was seeing it again, I'm like, I'll bet you there's a Marvel Legends of this I could buy. Not a Mondo. Yeah. Those are too expensive. I don't kind of have the money for that shit.
Yeah.
All right. So he's in Sabretooth's brain trying to figure out, like, what's going on there? What's your problem? Yeah, what's your problem, dude? We see a lot of, like, cameos of, like, Weapon X stuff that'll come down the line. Maverick, specifically.
Thank goodness.
Who's a character that I think looks super cool, but I couldn't tell you
anything about
him. I'd be like, yeah, Maverick, he's cool. Why? Because he looks cool.
Because he looks cool.
Wolverine adjacent.
Yeah, and Wolverine seems to like him. So.
Yeah. He's got a cool name. Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick.
Maverick, yeah.
Anyway, so we see teases of that. Here's where things really go off the rails. We get... Somebody has a weird fetish in the art department because we get this Professor X Sabretooth hybrid.
That was weird.
It's weird.
I saw it as like kind of like a goblin. Like Wolverine is almost like a impish creature that torments Sabretooth, but you're right, it is like a hodgepodge of the two of them.
Yeah, because it's like a bald Sabretooth in a lab coat, but he's still got the chops.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. It's a wild decision. Turns out Sabretooth's brain's messed up, guys. Don't think Professor X is going to pull this one out.
I mean, or he could just partition his mind like he does with Jean Grey every single movie.
Try it out, gang. Try it out. We do love making Sabretooth good. And like Age of Apocalypse, right? And other like Axis. What if he good now? We love it. This isn't that. This isn't that. So, I have in my notes. We're already reusing footage. It took us 3 episodes, but we're reusing footage from the previous episode. They're basically like, hey, you remember last week on X-Men, the animated series? Here's what happened.
Yeah, thank you. I remember them on the roof here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Professor X talks to the X-Men. Dude, oh my God. Yeah, this episode's insane. Because Professor X is in his office and he's like doing X-Men mission stuff. And then his little chair hovers up and over his desk. And I'm like, oh my God.
I mean, I guess, right? Except like, how does it do this? Like,
was that easier to
blasting
animate?
Papers off your desk?
Yeah. Was that easier to animate than just have him going around the desk?
Right? I guess. I mean, it must have been, right? That's why they did it. There's no other reason.
There's no other reason. It had to be easier. I do want to know the limit because he's just flying around in that hover chair. All right, so Wolverine's still pissed off that Sabretooth is there, and he's like, Professor X is like, I'm having trouble penetrating the recesses of his mind, and Wolverine's like, oh wow, penetrate his recesses.
That's vaguely sexual, Wolverine, but okay.
I mean, there's some tension. There's something there with him and Sabretooth. There's something there. There's not nothing. So Professor X wants Wolverine's help with Sabretooth, which is a no-go, obviously, and Wolverine leaves. Yeah. Why does Wolverine leave, Sal?
Because he goes where he wants
to go. Wolverine goes where he wants to go. So he leaves, and Professor X like drops it immediately. He's like, all right, whatever. Sabretooth will just stick around for another week.
Yeah.
Because
at this point, he's a prisoner, by the way.
Yeah, he is. And we're not, it reminds me of Flash season 1 where it's like, wait, are we just a extrajudicial super prison now?
Right?
Time out, everybody.
People here.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, but you're the only ones with the facilities. And it's like, well, then give them to them.
Yeah. Sure. You're a black site now. Yeah, because here's the thing. Professor X doesn't care about Sabretooth. He cares about Magneto. What is Magneto up to? Well, listen. He's in his supervillain lair because we're in full Saturday morning cartoon mode now. And he's like, what? He's basically clawing Inspector Gadget. What? He just needs a cat. What am I going to do this week?
Yep. I have monitors.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. He's got his monitor. He's like, a chemical plant. I can fuck shit up there.
Yep. And indeed he does. I'm going to set barrels on fire. Way to go.
Yeah. That's basically all he does, right? He's just,
oh
my God.
And it's just to lure them, right? He's like, come here and I'll fight you.
Yeah. Basically. So Professor X, oh my God, so many unhinged. This is the closest this show's been to Spider-Man animated series because there's a lot of unhinged decisions. It's like, okay, X-Men, I need all of my X-Men that are still here to fight Magneto. Jubilee, my little teenage girl that is I'm technically not responsible for. You stay with the giant murder man. Keep an eye on him. Make sure he doesn't get out and murder people, okay?
Like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the most vulnerable of us? Jubilee? Yeah, you watch Sabretooth. Now everybody else get out there and fight Magneto.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird because, like, Jubilee is obviously the ride-along character. She's there to stand in for the audience, but also they hate her.
Yeah. Well, they do the thing that, like, it's the tricky thing with the character because you're right. She's the audience surrogate. Shadowcat was going to fill this role in the Pride of the X-Men. Right. And wait, does Shadowcat...
Because it was the 80s.
Yeah, it was the 80s. Wait, does Shadowcat show up in this show?
Nope.
Are you serious?
No Kitty Pryde in this show.
That's wild. Anyway, so yes, Jubilee's the audience surrogate, but you're not going to go take her on missions. It's just wild that, like, the alternative is somehow more dangerous than going to fight Magneto.
I know.
Like, Sabretooth is the last. But again, I'm operating on, like, general media Sabretooth, not this show Sabretooth.
Yeah. This show, I mean, like, they want you to, have the gravitas of, he's a psycho.
Yeah.
But you just, it's like, there's random interpretations of the Joker, where you're like, he's killed hundreds of thousands of people. And they're like, this is not that version of Joker.
Yeah.
We want you to recognize him immediately and be afraid of him, but also recognize that, like, unless you've seen the graveyards, assume he's only killed, like, a couple of people.
Yeah. But that's what it's like. I'm glad you brought that up because it'd be like Batman being like, all right, I'm going to go hang out with the Justice League, but Robin, you stay here and watch the Joker. No, man.
Watch the Joker.
Wrong.
No.
That's wrong. Yeah. Don't do that. That's so stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You're lucky this is a Saturday morning cartoon, or else this would go really bad. This would be really bad.
Yeah, and there's history there of Sabretooth being in the mansion because of Professor Xavier's hubris and him brutalizing a female member of the team who was left behind.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not. You're like 2 scenes away from a true crime doc being made about this situation.
Yeah.
Think about this, Professor X. The most dangerous person on your team is worried about this guy. Maybe take that into some consideration.
Yeah.
All right, so Magneto. I love this. I've just discovered that I love this episode because we're with Magneto while he's waiting for the X-Men to show up, and he's like, I wonder what Professor X is like wearing. Like, I wonder what he looks like now. Oh my God. You think he's still cute? Oh my God.
Right? What are you doing? Yeah. So weird.
And I'm being hyper. If you guys didn't watch the episode before we watched it, I'm being a little hyperbolic, but not really. He literally like, I wonder what Professor X looks like now.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? He bald.
Yeah. He's like, does he have a toupee? Oh my God. So X-Men show up, and this is where we get Magneto's basically like magnetism is everything. Like Rogue goes to punch him, and he's like magnetism, and she like flies away, and like Storm goes to shock him, and he's like magnetism, and he just sucks it up. Just unstoppable. Yeah. Storm gets hit in a wall, and it starts falling around her, and she starts to have a full-on panic attack. Put a pin in that, gang.
That's true.
That's going to be... I don't even know if this technically connects to claustrophobia. I feel like this is a bit of a stretch.
No, it's... Well, because, like, I guess because she was... Because she'll be pinned under stuff, and that's what really causes her to, like, completely collapse. But, yeah... They call it her claustrophobia later.
Yeah. And we do get a hilarious line, because Rogue goes to save her, but it's too late. And then when Rogue sees that she's catatonic, she's like, we're, as an audience, supposed to understand that it's not really the bricks that did it, it's her claustrophobia.
Mind, yes.
But the line is, those bricks weren't that heavy, and I'm like, maybe for you, Rogue.
Yeah, I think she's playing with her. She's trying to like lighten the mood. She's like, come on, like
come on.
You're stronger than this, is what she's saying through that, thinly veiled subtext.
Yeah. So Cyclops is also knocked out. Rogue goes to give him mouth to mouth to help him, which, by the way, is not, you do chest compressions. I think I shouldn't say this like I'm an authority, but I understand mouth to mouth isn't really the go-to anymore.
The thing.
Yeah. But anyway, she does it. Little flirtation there, little whatever, and then she gets she gets Cyclops' eye powers.
And she's just blasting it everywhere. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great moment.
And she's like, what do you need to do? And Cyclops is like, just close your eyes, bitch. Just close your eyes. Just shut up.
Keep them closed. For some reason, they won't blast your eyelids off.
Yeah. Have there ever been an explanation of why that is the case?
Oh, I'm sure there has. I'm certain there has.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know,
My eyelids are coated in ruby quartz. Anyway, yeah. Magneto again, dude.
Oh, I know.
These
The years
two,
have been kind to you, Charles.
these
What?
two just need to get a room, man. I'm fucking serious.
Yeah.
So much drama be avoided if these guys just, fucking made out. But yeah, so Magneto starts throwing Professor X around, and apparently Magneto's helmet is just for show because
Yes.
Professor X gets right up in there and starts showing him his traumatic memories. Like, hey, remember this shit?
Yeah. Hey, knock it off. Stop blowing up chemical plants. Holocaust.
Yeah. Remember the Holocaust? It's the only thing I think about, Charles.
Oh, well, then it shouldn't bother you this much.
And Magneto flips out so hard he just bails. He just bails out, and then Professor X uses his mind powers to call his wheelchair over, and it just goes like flipping through the air towards him.
Yeah.
It's great, guys. This episode's great.
Yeah.
It's unhinged.
Totally worth watching.
All right, so day's saved. Magneto's gonna scheme for another day. Senator Kelly, who we've seen a little bit of before, he's like, I'm going to run for president of the United States, and then I'm going to round up all the mutants into internment camps. Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Not to get political, but reminds me of certain other people that have run for president throughout our entire goddamn history. Anyway. Meanwhile, back at the camp, Sabretooth is like, listen, Jubilee. I know I'm a big scary monster, man, but my wrist hurts. So could you
loosen it
a little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, what am I going to do? I'm only 4 times your size with sharp
and I've been
fangs.
a raving psycho. Like I'm constantly screaming my head off and whipping cars up all about. But sure, yeah, help me out.
Help me out. And Jubilee's like, well, maybe if it's just the one hand.
Yeah.
So she releases the one hand, and oh, wouldn't you know it, Sabretooth has been sent here by Magneto, the perfect mole. Don't send Mystique. Don't send Blob.
Don't send literally anybody. Send the one untrustworthy psycho mercenary.
Yeah, send the one guy that has a connection to one of the X-Men and also has been on the news murdering people. Send that guy.
Can you imagine if they actually just trusted Wolverine? And like Wolverine either assassinated him in the night or they threw him out. And Magneto's like, damn it. I really thought that was going to work. I don't know why I
should have thought that one through. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who else could I have sent? Scarlet Witch? Nah, that's crazy. That's crazy talk.
Oh, how about my speedster son?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Who's...
Pyro?
No. Sabretooth. It had to be Sabretooth. It couldn't be anybody else. It's got to be.
The guy the size of a car.
Yeah. So, fortunately, Wolverine likes to go off and pout, but he never goes away too far. He doesn't go too far. He's right there. And he has this line. He's like, you always like push around people smaller than you. Well, I'm smaller than you. Try pushing me around.
I like that. I like that a lot.
It's good. Because one, Wolverine's small. 2, I think everybody's kind of smaller than Sabretooth. Sabretooth is fucking huge.
Yeah, you're a brick shithouse. Give me a break.
Yeah, he's a monster. So we get our first Wolverine Sabretooth fight.
Yeah.
Which again, super 90s, but I'm into it. That's the kind of shit I'm nostalgic for. Like, yeah, man.
Yeah, it's cool to see. It's broken up by a lot of crap, but it's fun.
Well, it's tough to listen, man. I'm not the biggest proponent. I wasn't one of those
television violence.
Well, yeah, just I wasn't like one of those people that was like creaming my jeans that Logan was R or whatever. Like, I think there's a time and a place for that shit, and it worked in Logan. But it's a narrative decision, right?
Yes.
I think the urge comic fans have for legitimacy isn't like R doesn't necessarily make something more, and R rating doesn't necessarily make something more mature.
No, they just want they want it to be legitimized.
Yeah, but I say all that to say it's hard to do a Wolverine Sabretooth fight on a Saturday morning cartoon, man. It's hard.
Yeah. It's true. It's hard to do Wolverine in a Saturday morning cartoon. He has 6 knives that pop out of his hands. What else is he gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, he can't always fight a Sentinel. By the way, we didn't talk about it, but in the first episode when he takes down that Sentinel, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's sick, and it's
climbing up its back. We didn't even say this is for you, Morph.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's one of those. I think that had to have been they lucked out that one of the X-Men's iconic villains are robots. It's a good excuse for them to use. It's Ninja Turtle rules. It's why the Foot Clan are robots. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That way they can use their weapons. Although I don't think they really did, but it does. That doesn't matter.
It was weird. Like, first, let's make them robots because they weren't in the comic books. But let's make them robots so they can use their weapons. And then it's like, no, we don't want them using their weapons here.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so like having those be robots, but you're right, like it can't always be robots. It's definitely not for Sabretooth, and it's just like, and truthfully, because Sabretooth gets in a really good swipe, that again, they need to like rush Wolverine to an infirmary. It's like, well, do you not know his
healing factor works?
His one power? But it's like, they, especially compared to Spider-Man, the animated series, they get a lot more done than that show did.
Yes. Every episode is contemplative. Every episode, there isn't a very special theme.
Yeah.
It wasn't like tonight on a very special X-Men. But those themes are present and they reinforce them. At the very least, like, things have to go back to the status quo. Although with the Spider-Man cartoon, it was always like, it's like the status quo was like they were doing the opposite of that every time, where they're like, make sure it never, like, we never get comfortable or acclimated to where we are. Just always be in flux, always dealing with another effing vampire or something.
Yes. Whereas
this show is always like, that was heavy and crazy, but don't forget that we also need to make sure that, like, the people who are in the intro are the same people that are in the episode.
Yep. Yeah, so anyway, but it's cool. I think it's smart, even though this episode, like, isn't the tightest. I do think it's a sign that these creators know what they're doing, in that, like, after we set up the X-Men after we set up the X-Men with the Sentinels, and again, the other thing that makes the Sentinels a good choice is they're not going to steal. It was what made Avengers smart by doing Loki, because we've already established Loki, so we can focus our energy on the team. Similarly, Sentinels don't have personalities, so we can just focus on. They're just a stand-in for the general metaphor we're trying to do. So that gives us a reason to exposit, and also gives us a reason to set up the team. Now that the team's set up, we can get into the Magneto and Sabretooth and this grudge between Wolverine and Sabretooth.
Yeah.
And it is like, I don't know, it's kind of, it's interesting going back and watching this show, because it does remind me a lot of the things that were so iconic to me as a kid. And one of those things is the Wolverine Sabretooth rivalry. That's one of like the all-timers.
Yeah.
So there's a fight. X-Men show up and they're like, what? Actually, before they even see the fight, they like come into this room, and then this like bench opens with like fresh coffee, and Cyclops drinks. He's like, I feel so much better. And it's like, what's going on? Where are you guys? What is that? What are you drinking? What's going on?
Yeah. Is that a replicator? Like, what's happening? Yeah, I love it. They rally. Jubilee gets a punch in or at least like a blast in, because like, otherwise, what the hell is she doing?
They're smart in that, like, she is young, she's inexperienced, but she's powerful. She can be powerful. Yeah. She has her moments.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a smart decision. Yeah, but she blasts Sabretooth off of Sabretooth away after he claws Wolverine. They rush Wolverine to the infirmary for reasons that are unclear to me. And Charles, because, dude, the show, again, at the end of the day, all comics are this way, but X-Men more than most is a soap opera. This is a soap opera. And so we're going to end with, like we ended with Cyclops being like, oh, my decisions. This time we're ending with Professor X like, oh, I shouldn't have, I failed my friends. Oh, no.
Yep. We failed, Professor.
Yeah. No, but this right. Who says that to him? Storm. No, Professor. We failed. I'm like, failed. That doesn't. Storm, you're not helping.
That's not better. That's much worse.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Well, listen, gang, we got a lot of exciting things on the horizon. We're getting, looks like we're getting some more stuff with the love triangle, possibly with, we're getting some Morlocks. That'll be good. We're getting Juggernaut in the next batch of episodes. Ooh.
Yeah.
I had the tie-in comic to that. That was basically like the episode, but in comic form. Ooh. We get some Genosha. Because that's the other thing we're going to be kind of doing in the show, is tracking to see how it connects up to X-Men 97. Which we'll get to eventually.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Those are the episodes for this week. Sal, where can the kids find you?
If you want to see me and my crew talk about X-Men and other related comic book news and information, go to youtube.com/comicpop and Comic Pop Returns, where you can check out podcasts not unlike these fine shows.
What are you guys, as of this recording, what are you guys doing on Comic Pop?
Within 10 minutes of dropping this episode, or recording this episode, we'll be dropping a Spider-Man versus Venom story arc from Todd McFarlane and David Michelinie. We covered the first appearance from Amazing 300, but in the collection I have, there's the first appearance, and then there's the second appearance that also is done by the same creative team. And I was like, we should just do that again. So it's our first true two-parter, unofficial two-parter for the show since back when YouTube had limitations on length.
Yeah. Super cool. So, I had an opportunity. One of my local shops had the first appearance of Venom, and I had to debate myself, can I justify spending the money on this?
Yeah.
And I couldn't I just couldn't
I don't blame you.
I couldn't at the time, but they had that, and what was the other one? I think they had was the original. It was either the original. It couldn't have been the original Ninja Turtles #1. I think it was one of the original.
One
Ninja
of the
Turtles.
reprints.
The original #2 or #3 or something.
That's cool. Yeah,
and it was one of those
yeah. A friend of mine, his shop had a couple of original issue 4.
Yeah,
but signed by Eastman and Laird, and I was like,
dude. And I think my shop right now has the first appearance of Moon Knight, and it's Moon Knight's my guy, but it's that would have been an easier. I could have more affordable a couple years ago.
Pre-show.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh well. Well, listen, gang. Check out Comic Pop. Once again, please head on over to because we're pre-recording.
DJ Talks Trash.
Yeah, DJ Talks Trash. But I had to think about what's going to be around when this, because some of you are watching this live as I speak right now.
Yes.
This in the future, these live shows are going to be for members. So $1 a month membership, you get to have early access. And we're doing that for a couple reasons I explained previously. But if you're late to the show or this is the first one you're watching or whatever, we're changing the format because to better fit the fact that we're talking about the animated series now. So this is going to be closer to what we do on Spider-Versity. And also, I need a little bit of buffer because I got a baby on the way. So I need have content to put up while I'm up there. So if you can't be a member, totally understand. These episodes will drop as normal YouTube videos in a future, probably about a month from now. If you want to check them out live, if you want to check them out early, you can do that as a membership, or if you're a patron. They will be totally accessible to patrons as well. If you're already a patron, you don't need to do anything extra, and you'll be able to have access to these as well. But to everybody that joined us live, who has been joining us from Mutant Academy, I want to thank you for being a part of this journey with us, and I'm excited to continue with X-Men the Animated Series. And like Sal said, please go check out my personal channel, DJ Talks Trash. I'm doing some fun things over there that don't really fit with what we do with only stupid answers, but there's some Venn diagram over there. And there's a bunch of other new stuff that we're trying. So stay tuned for all of that, and we will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.